Hello everyone, have you ever wondered how to set up a HTTP 402 protocol in SvelteKit to accept payments on the Web3, for example like Solana or Ethereum or USDT or USDC for using your API route? In this video, I'm going to show you how I set up my API routes inside SvelteKit. So let's jump into it. Let me quickly go over and explain what is a x402 protocol so you can pick whether you should use it or not. X402 is a modern take on the HTTP protocol 402. When the user tries to access something, the server returns 402, which means pay and come back. This approach is mainly built to replace the standard checkout flow or subscription flow and allow more diverse versions of business modeling. So you can request a small piece of content which can cost like a few cents, or you can do some server actions after the payment is settled. This diagram, we can clearly see that when a client requests some content to the server responds 402 payment required with the data that is needed for the user to sign a transaction. Then, using the data that the server sent to the client, the user selects a payment method and creates a payload. Basically, the user makes a partially signed transaction and then sends the X payment header to the server. This is very crucial to understand that the user doesn't actually settle the transaction on its behalf, but it partially signs a transaction, which says basically, okay, you can take my money. When the server receives this partially signed transaction, it first verifies it with the facilitator or some kind of service that actually says, okay, there is this wallet, there is this user, and then there is this receiver, and then there's this amount, and this transaction actually is valid. After the verification, it returns it to the server, and then the server has this opportunity to decide, does it want to settle the transaction on the facilitator, which is what we are going to do, or the server also can settle the transaction by itself by making a connection to the blockchain and settling the transaction. So you might ask, how is it different from the traditional way of settling a transaction? Why would you use a facilitator? This model didn't take into account that a user can just reuse their successful payment header and access the content again. So a database was required to store if the signature is already being used. So basically I had to add a database in that case and store all the successful transactions and which user they belong to. This system doesn't really provide the one-time use design as it was originally planned to. Here is the repo which you can download and check out. So let me quickly walk you through the project. Basically, in the main route, the user connects their wallet with the wallet button component, and then there is the x402 store, which does some feedback to the UI when the transaction and everything is going on and shows the status of transaction. The wallet connection itself doesn't have too much complicated things in it. Basically, it's a subscribe with a connect method which checks the browser environment, detects a wallet standard UI wallet, and then stores it to reuse it in the future. The x402 store has this fetch method on it, which first checks if there is a wallet connected, and then using the official x402 core client library, it creates a 402 client, creates a SVM signer with the Solana wallet account signer package, and then again, using the official package, it wraps the client with the fetch method and does a fetch to the protected content URL. As you can see, this wrap fetch with payment does four things. It makes an initial request to the server. If a 402 response is received, it parses the payment requirements. It creates a payment header using the configured HTTP client, and then retries the request with the payment header. So it's a very complicated function. And then when everything is settled and done, the data is returned and the status is changed and reflected in the UI. This was all the client-side code, which is needed to create payments to a protected route. The interesting part is this API route, which Svelte has. So the server API route does all the heavy lifting. What it does, it sets the payment requirements, like the price of the content, the schema, and the payment network, and also the pay-to address, basically the receiver. So when a GET request is sent to this route, it checks if there is payment signature header. If there is no, then it sends a 402 error and says, okay, here are the payment requirements. First, build a payment signature and then come back. After the client does payload and sends back request with the payment signature, it strings it. I don't know how to say it. It parses it, basically it destructures it, and uses this verify payment method on the resource server object, which takes in a payment payload from the client and payment requirements, which we have set on the server. Here I also use this resource server settle payment method, which is super simple, and I didn't have to use all the Solana kite packages to build one. Although to use it in production, I have to make a facilitator account and have some funds, if I'm not wrong, to actually sponsor the transaction, because here the user doesn't actually pay for the transaction by themselves, because the user might have no Solana at all. The user can pay USDT or USDC, so the transaction fees actually have to be paid by a wallet that has some Solana funding in it. So here's a small detail here. And then after the final settlement happens, the premium content is unlocked, or some server-side actions can be done. For example, the settlement can be recorded into a database, or the user can or the server can make a request to another server. It completely depends on the use case here. So if you still find this setup kind of complicated, there's also this very cool package, x402 Svelte. It's we are so different. Basically, it's a hooks.server setup approach, where inside the hook you make the requirements for a route, and then you don't have to take care of the verification and settlements in your server code. It's all done by the middleware, which is also very, very cool. But I wanted to keep control of the steps by myself. Anyway, if you liked it, make sure to put a like and subscribe, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.